Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. Now, that's Central Time as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. It's always such a fun ride, and I always love being with you. Continue sending emails. I definitely appreciate that. Donna at donnasedge.com. Donna at donnasedge.com. Just like a little tag down there says. You can find us on television. We're syndicated on Abundant Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast on the newscasters.com and all the social media sites. We're in all of it. I'm just a social media freak. Is that right, AP Steadham?
You are.
I'm dragging you with me on every single place I go to as well. It's a whole lot of fun. AP as we see it, and syndicated there as well. And so good to be with you again today. It's been a long time, a lot of years. And
my pleasure. All the time, Don. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for introducing me to basketball a few years ago. There was a time I wouldn't have anything to do with it, but now I'm getting to love it.
I'm telling you, Donna, this basketball in the SEC is quite astounding. I mean, 9 teams in the Associated Press poll and the other polls. And we just spoke about it on my show last week, the fact that if you have that many teams right now, Don, there's probably, I think it's 350, 360 that play at that level. Basketball. Football is 134, Donna, 134. But basketball, when you have 9 teams, 9 out of the 16, they're in the conference, in the top 25 at this juncture. I would say in basketball, it's a tournament sport, Donna, meaning you must get into the tournament to consider yourself having a successful program that year. And I would say that half of the team, let's say 4 to 5, should be in the Sweet 16 to say that we really had a good season, because you can win all those games, but like I said, it's a tournament sport, so you need to get to the Sweet 16. The tournament this year, Don, is in San Antonio, Texas. So the Final Four for the men's. I think the women, I'm not sure if it's in Tampa or not, but anyway, the women have success as well. But the men's basketball teams, they're the talk of the country. The SEC in basketball overall, the conference itself. And so you have Auburn at number 1. They had a thrilling victory, tight ball game against Tennessee on Saturday evening. So they kept their place. And, you have Alabama at number 4. These are last week's ratings, the ratings that we have from last week. Florida, number 5, Mizzou, number 22, Tennessee, number 6, Mississippi State, number 14, Texas A&M, number 13, Ole Miss, number 16, and Kentucky, number 9. Now, Kentucky, they lost to Vanderbilt over the weekend up in Nashville. So this conference, very competitive. Every game you play, every team in the conference has a winning record. South Carolina is now 10-10. They're 0-7 in the conference, but every team has a winning record, not in the conference, but overall. So that should tell you something about the basketball in the Southeastern Conference.
Oh, yeah, going very well. I got a message from Sabrina, and she said, because, Southeastern Conference is doing really well. She said, is it the cornbread we're feeding them, or what is it? These guys are great.
Right. It all starts with the recruiting, and we have this fluid situation with the transfer portal, so you can have a turnaround in 1 year. Not like before where you're trying to get the high school player, the freshmen, the top players, and maybe by his sophomore year, you're thinking, okay, he's a little mature right now, and we're getting better and better. Not this era of athletics. You can recruit and have the transfers come in from other schools or double-digit scores, because we know, and I always preface my basketball remarks, Donna, by saying basketball, the ball must go in the basket. I mean, you can do a lot of things in basketball, be a good passing team, rebounding team, defensive team, shoot free throws well, but the ball must go in the basket. It's not like football where you can hold somebody down because there's too many talented people. So it's important to have a lot of shooters, because in basketball, Donna, there's not the consistency from game to game. When you watch a quarterback play, he could have 7 games in a row, 250, 300 yards throwing the football. Basketball, let's say you're a 48% shooter. Well, you might shoot 40% the next game. You might be off slightly. So that's why you need multiple shooters to come off the bench and be part of your team so you can score effectively game in and game out. Basketball, putting the ball in the basket.
That's true. And basketball can change so much from week to week. Your status as a
Yeah.
team can change overnight.
Yeah, you lose a couple games during the week because they usually two games per week in the Southeastern Conference. So yeah, you could have a couple losses and drop a little bit in the polls, but you're always maintaining your stature by winning overall in the conference, having a above 500 record within the conference. And since the FCC is viewed as one of the strongest in the country, if you're beating SEC teams, you're moving towards that goal of impressing the committee that selects the teams. So, and SEC is in a great spot this year for having a lot of teams in the NCAA tournament. I would think, 8 to 11, something like that, which is a significant amount. There's only 16 teams down in the conference, so I'm thinking 8 to 11 teams have a good chance to be in the tournament.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I love to see the showmanship of a basketball game. No, you don't have to be like the Harlem Globetrotters, but just a little fun, dancey kind of stuff out there, twirling it around, that kind of stuff.
Little flash, right?
Well, yeah, but do the people in charge, your coaches and that kind of, did they kind of put a frown on that?
Donna, if you make the play, let's say you're dribbling down the court, it's a fast break, you have a wing player to your left, wing player to your right, and you throw behind the back pass, and the person ends up with a dunk, the coach is going to applaud it. He's going to clap, and you'll be fine. If you throw the ball out of bounds, he's going to say, "Son, we're going to go with the two-hand bounce pass or the chest pass next time. We don't want to see that behind the back pass. That's a turnover." And coaches, they don't like turnovers.
No, they don't. Now, AP as we see it, let's go ahead and talk about that just for a few minutes. Who were you last week?
Yeah, we had Don. I had so much to say. I was the only one on the show. We discussed the future of the Southeastern Conference football because we know this year that they did not make the championship game, and for the second year in a row, the Big Ten is on top. Ohio State last year was Michigan. This year, Ohio State. So what we did, Don, we looked at the non-conference games, the top 20. I think it was 22 games we came up with for the 16 teams. These are non-conference games that they have scheduled for the 2025 season. And for the SEC to regain some strength across the country and with the voters, the selection committee who picks the teams for the college football playoff, you have to do well in those non-conference games. Mm-hmm. So we just went team by team. Some teams had a couple of non-conference games that will be difficult and be noteworthy. Some teams just have the one game that we noted that if they can win this non-conference game, it will help not only them, but also the entire conference. So I think the future of the SEC, there's a couple things down it. Besides winning the non-conference games, for instance, like South Carolina and Clemson play every year. South Carolina's had some success now beating Clemson. That's great. That's great for them. But I would also tell people that you're trying to have all your wins against teams in the conference that are above 500. Like, for instance, Ole Miss last year, they lost to Kentucky, who did not have a win in the conference. That was Kentucky's only win in the conference, and they lost. And that's the reason they were knocked out of the playoffs. So besides winning your non-conference games, you have to do well in your conference. Yeah, you could have you could have several losses, as a matter of fact. But to lose against a team like Alabama lost to Oklahoma done it late in the season, 2 games left. They had one conference win, and then they beat Alabama for their second win. So that's what knocked out Alabama out of the college football playoff. You cannot absorb those losses on your schedule and expect for the committee to just overlook, well, Ole Miss lost to Kentucky. Well, you're competing against other teams. And if you look at the other teams and they're consistent, beating everyone on their schedule that they should, and then they have a loss or two as well. But you had the loss against the team with no wins in the conference, 1 win in the conference. You're going to be left at home in the college football playoff system.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We're syndicated. We're all over the country. So I have Katie, who lives in Texas. She asked a question for you. And her question was, with all the things that are happening with football and with basketball, what do you
Yes.
see in the future? And is it going to be a fast, new future?
Yeah, the future in football and basketball, because these coaches and these universities and programs and schools have the ability to attract funding. You're going to see players move every year. So you have to have a roster card to know who's on your team.
The
It's
new
not like
normal, right?
Yeah, it's not like years before you say, "Oh, we have this freshman quarterback. Can't wait till he's a junior. Or wait till he plays next year as a sophomore. He's going to be better." You might not have him the next year. So it's the recruiting, the rosters are all fluid, and if we know coaches come and go as well, the assistant coaches, the coordinators. So we had one bit of news that just came out. We have the defensive coordinator for Ohio State, Jim Knowles. He's moving to Penn State down and out. Just think about this for a second. When Nick Saban arrived, they paid him $4 million a year, $32 million for 8 years. Well, this coordinator now, at this time in our history, he can be making over $3 million. He's the coordinator. He's not even the head coach. So $3 million for the coordinator, defensive coordinator for Penn State. He's moving from Ohio State to Penn State. I heard he's originally from Penn State, from Pennsylvania, actually. But so that gives you an idea of the money. When people are discussing the funding, the money, obviously you're paying a coach $3 million. There's money available. So the players understand this. They read the newspaper. They read on the internet. They understand if you're paying the coach $3 million, you must have something left for me. So people are on the move.
Can you pretty much follow the money just to see who the best team is going to be for that particular season?
Well, I would say, Donna, that I use Texas as the example. They're a team that's always had plenty of money, but they don't have all the championships. Mm-hmm. Okay? They do not have all the, and you say, why? Well, that's at the top, the leadership. Alabama's a team you're thinking they don't have as much money as Texas or some of these other big schools, but they have all the championships because they had tremendous leadership. But back to Coach Bryant, and even way back in the 20s, Alabama had a national championship team. They had great coaching at the top. So it's still the person at the top, the people at the top, Donna, that are your leaders, and they have to coordinate that and recruit players, develop players. So you could have all the money. You could have more money than anybody in college football. But what are you doing on the field? What are you doing with your players once they arrive on campus? Now with this transfer portal and the NIL, you have to have you must have on your staff a general manager, just like they do in professional football. So you have all this money. Who should get the money? This is always the question, Donna. Now that you're looking at professionalism on the collegiate level, who should receive the money? Yeah, we can find a quarterback and pay him money, but is that the right one for us? Mm-hmm. It still comes down to, can you evaluate personnel? And then can you make a deal with that individual who wants to transfer? And will they be a good fit for your team? Do they have that winning personality that they could come? Like Will Howard transferred from Kansas State. He led Ohio State to a national championship. You look at Riley Leonard, transferred from Duke to Notre Dame, led him to the championship game. So they made the right selection at the quarterback position.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's all part of the game. Let's go into a commercial break. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. Everybody hang in there, okay? Lots of fun. Thanks, AP. We'll be right back.
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. at Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020. We're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community. Whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need, toys at Christmas, or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Because of your overwhelming support, our 1488 MyPillow has been one of the biggest sales in MyPillow history. I couldn't think of a better way to say thank you than to extend our wholesale pricing through Christmas. Get a classic standard MyPillow for only $14.88. Upgrade to a queen size, just $18.88. King size, only $1 more. Get my body pillows for only $29.88. And ready? Multi-use MyPillows, only $9.88. It's perfect time to stock up for Christmas gifts for everyone on your list. Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our wholesale pricing, including my classic standard MyPillows, only $14.88. But that's not all. I'm so confident you're going to love our classic MyPillows that I'm going to extend my 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st, 2025. Plus, orders over $75 ship absolutely free.
The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. That's why we have AP Steadham with us right here. He's professional when it comes to sports. Been doing this for a long time, so I've said this 1,000 times. If someone were to cut your wrist, football and basketball, sports would come out instead of blood. So anyway, the guy really knows what he's talking about. As a matter of fact, you keep lists available, which I think is absolutely awesome. You got one you want to share with us today?
Yeah, Donna, we were discussing the non-conference game for the SEC football team. So I thought we might delve into that so people can get an idea, because I know they're thinking about their team every year. It doesn't matter the month. So, and the SEC, I tell people all the time, they're making reservations right now for the coming season at the hotels and their travel. So it's really important to them. They're looking at the Saturday, so we'll make sure we do not have anything on the calendar for that day because we're traveling here and going to the game. So if you permit, we'll start. We always go alphabetical because that's the easiest. I think, for most people. But we'll start with Alabama. They have 2 non-conference games that we selected. They have 4 because the SEC down, they play 8 games. So every team has 4. We selected the top 2. They play at Florida State the first game, and we know that Florida State's from the ACC. They were down last year, but they probably be a little bit better this time. And then Alabama hosts Wisconsin out of the Big Ten. Now, Wisconsin struggled last year, so I don't know. So, they'll probably be a little bit better. But Alabama gets to play them at home in Tuscaloosa. So those are the 2 non-conference games. Alabama will be favored in both, Donna. They'll probably win. I mean, I would say they will win those games. But there's 22 games we selected with the 16 teams. So we're going to move on to Arkansas. It is at Memphis on the 20th of September. Good team out of the American Athletic Conference, Memphis, good football program. But the game that's really probably historical for Arkansas, they're playing Notre Dame down for the first time, hosting Notre Dame.
That's going to be a game right there.
Oh, yeah, that'll be terrific on the 27th of September. They've never played. I think there's 4 teams in the SEC that have never played Notre Dame. And so Arkansas is going to fulfill that wish by their fans to play Notre Dame. That'd be huge for them to play Notre Dame. Auburn opens this season, Donna. Auburn opens at Baylor. They played a number of times. Baylor was a bowl team. They're out of the Big 12, so Auburn will travel to Waco, Texas, August 30th. I'm sorry, getting my months mixed up here. So they're going to play Baylor. That'll be a competitive game for them. Look at University of Florida. They host a couple home state teams. University of South Florida out of the American Athletic Conference on the 6th of September. On the 29th, they play Florida State. We know Florida State was not in a bowl. They struggled. We discussed them. They're playing Alabama as well out of the ACC. Georgia, their main game, non-conference, will be Georgia Tech. It'll be at Georgia Tech. They had multiple overtimes to win that ball game. So Georgia Tech, always a tough opponent, even though they don't have the same type of talent on the roster, but they always give, they can give people. Yeah, rival, big time out of the Atlantic Coast Conference. Kentucky, they have the 1 game at Louisville. So we know they're out of the Atlantic Coast Conference. Louisville was in a bowl game. Kentucky was down last year. That's on the 29th of November. Then we have LSU opening the season at Clemson. You know about Clemson now, Donna, being in South Carolina. Yeah, so, they're a college football playoff team this past season. So that starts the season for them August 30th out of the Atlantic Coast Conference. Then we move on to Ole Miss playing Tulane. Tulane's a good football program. It was in the championship of the American Athletic Conference. That's on the 20th of September. And then, Donna, here's a really interesting game. Washington State plays Ole Miss on the 11th of October. They've never played. They're out of the Pac-12. The Pac-12 right now, Donna, is only 2 teams. Washington State and Oregon State. They're trying to revive that conference. They have a couple of years to reassemble enough teams to be viable. But Washington State, who's always pretty competitive team to play Ole Miss. I wouldn't take that game lightly. Mississippi State at Southern Miss. Southern Miss is going to have a brand new coach coming from Marshall. Donna, he's bringing almost all the team. Marshall could not compete in the bowl game because he brought most of the team to Southern Miss. Yeah, that's what happened with this transfer portal situation. That opens the season August 30th, Mississippi State. Then the next game on the 6th of September, Arizona State, who was in the college football playoff. They had one of the byes. They won the Big 12, and they were picked last. Now, picked last, but won the conference. So that's a great matchup for Mississippi. Yeah. And then we have Missouri. They played their arch rival from the Big 12 and the Big 8 years ago, Kansas. That'll be on September 6th. Kansas was a bowl team. They're out of the Big 12. Donna, Kansas and Missouri, they cannot stand each other. That is a heated rivalry.
Those are the fun games.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, so that's a game I think I'm putting on my schedule. I'm probably trying to cover. So Oklahoma has a big game against Michigan out of the Big Ten. That's on the 6th of September. So I know the Oklahoma fans will be happy to see Michigan, one of the blue blood teams, 2 blue blood teams. South Carolina, about South Carolina. They play Virginia Tech, and that game's in Atlanta now. That's a special game. Kickoff classic game. That's on the 31st of August, which is a Sunday. So that's against the Atlantic Coast Conference, Virginia Tech. And then they'll play Clemson, their rival at the end of the year on the 29th of November. Of course, Clemson was in the college football playoff. Then you have Tennessee. Tennessee plays Syracuse in Atlanta. That's one of those kickoff games. That's the day before on Saturday, August 30th. So Syracuse and Tennessee have played a while in a few bowl games. And Syracuse had a great year. I think they won 9 or 10 games. We're in a bowl. So that'll be a big game for Tennessee. Then we have the last few teams. We have Texas. Texas lost to Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl. Guess who they open up with down in Columbus, Ohio? They play Columbus, Ohio. They play Ohio State. Texas and Ohio State again. One of the top games of the year.
We're turning into big rivals as well.
Yeah, top game of the year, right? One of the best of the year. August 30th, they open the season. Texas A&M, their first game was against Notre Dame. They open up the season at Notre Dame this year. But that's on they don't open up, but it's the 13th of September. So big road game for them and their fans. Vanderbilt plays at Virginia Tech on the 6th of September. Virginia Tech was in a Vanderbilt was in a bowl. And Virginia Tech was as well. So I think, Vanderbilt beat Virginia Tech this year. That's a big game for them. So that's the 22 games, Donna, that we selected. It would be critical for the conference to be considered strong.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Let's talk about Vanderbilt just for a minute. That's all the rave is about Vanderbilt because of what they did last year. Do you see them doing the same track they did last year?
Yeah, I mean, if they could stay pat with winning 6 or 7 games. They won the bowl game, beat Georgia Tech, who gave Georgia all they wanted with those overtime sessions. So Vanderbilt with Diego Pavia, he filed a suit to get some extra eligibility. If Vanderbilt can win those games, that'll be another successful season for them because they were bowl eligible, went to the bowl, won the bowl. So they're trying to win more games. But I think they're reaching higher than what they achieved this season. But yeah, Vanderbilt, they were one of the surprises. They beat Alabama, put 40 points on Alabama, gave Texas a ball game, lost by 3 points in Nashville, took Missouri a couple overtimes, but they ended up being bowl eligible, Donna, and not won a game in the prior season. So that was terrific.
With what you know right now, which game do you think is going to be the most anticipated game of the season?
I think
right now.
Right. I think that
you're good at that, by the way. You're really good at that.
I don't know. I think that Texas at Ohio State game, that's the first game for Texas and Ohio State. Mm-hmm. I mean, Texas coming off the playoff berth and Ohio State coming off the win over Texas in the Cotton Bowl, plus they won the national championship. So, and Texas will have Arch Manning at the quarterback position. He'll be the starter. So, and Ohio State will be looking for a new quarterback. So I think that's got to be the biggest game in the Southeastern Conference, not non-conference, I believe. It might be the biggest game this season, but it's at the beginning. So I don't think if Texas loses, it hurts them per se. But you want to be competitive. Both teams want to be competitive. If you lose, okay, maybe by a field goal. You don't want to be trounced by 30 points or anything of that nature. And it's the first game, so you should be pretty healthy. Normally, everybody's pretty healthy the first game.
Well, that's the way it is, AP, as we see it. So, AP, how can folks find you? How can they find your show since you're syndicated?
Yeah, Donna, we have they can check our Facebook and our social media pages. I usually put up the schedule, the stations. But if not, it's on Spotify. You can listen at any time. Posted on the YouTube channel at AP Steadham and then at AP as we see it on the YouTube channel. So check us out. And then, Donna, we're going to be doing the Senior Bowl this week. It will be the Super Bowl the following week. But you can go back and check all my interviews I did with all the teams from the Cotton Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Las Vegas Bowl, and the National Championship game. You can check everything on my YouTube channel.
Absolutely. Great interviews and great to have you, AP. And great to have you guys as well. Thank you so much for watching. Continue sending those emails. We don't get to all of them every single time, but I do save them. Donna@donnasedge.com. Thank you, AP. You take care.
Thank you, Donna.